the Dork Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the Dork Podcast. Ryan Davey. It's the Dork Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag Dork Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is the recently crowned king of dongs. He is the Ding Dong Don. Give it up for old dog Bart Fuck, Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm a little under the weather, as you can hear right now. I don't sound that great.
I thought I was
This
going to
is
be
not deep dick.
on the
This is
podcast.
not deep dick. This is just
nasal Davey.
sorry.
Nasal Davey. I thought I was going to be nasally. We're both a little nasally today.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it?
Fucking stinks.
It stinks.
I don't
That
know.
and I screwed up. Not to give too much away right off the top, but I screwed up the topic du jour. What are you drinking? What is that? A baseball?
Football, a little football laces out. A little football. It's a little football. I'm drinking a fiddlehead, but inside the fiddlehead or on the outside is a koozie, but it's like Nerf football. I got it.
That's a nice little Coley holder you got there.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I screwed up a little bit, but we're gonna work through
Davey
it.
fucked us.
Oh.
Davey fucked us. If you're tuning in to hear a good back and forth on the topic du jour, you're not gonna get that today.
Not gonna get it today.
No. But we're still going to talk about it because Davey didn't see the picture. However, we are talking about 10 movies, and you've seen 9 of them. So
I've seen 9 of them, and at least I'm not lying about it like I did 2 other times. But
we don't need to relitigate the past, Ryan. So when it gets to Saw 10, Dave can either listen to my spiel on it, or you can jump ship. It's up to you. It's your call.
I'm not leaving you here to talk to yourself.
All right, good.
No, you're meant to get away from work at this point.
That's right.
This is an escape. I'm not going to leave you out in the lurch.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we got a big old topic du jour on the way. But in the meantime,
This week in Dork. Yeah.
well, we got the penultimate episode of Ahsoka, and we're gonna get the finale tomorrow as we talk live right now. In fact, 24 hours from now, you can watch the finale of Ahsoka. It's a pretty nice little TV show, Ryan.
It's a great little TV show. It's funny, as good as the Ahsoka stuff is with the whole crew. Where is Baylan Skoll going? Where is he going?
He's cooking something up, isn't he?
I know, but I want to know what's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
And
maybe.
I was very excited. We got probably one of the cutest creatures we've seen in a long time in Star Wars outside of Grogu.
Yeah.
Those little rock hermit guys.
Yeah, those guys are cool.
They're
Those
great.
guys are cool. Yep, those are good. That's a nice little. I could see that being a little toy or maybe a little Funko Pop or something. That's a nice
The
little
Funko
guy.
Pop.
Yeah, a little pop.
Yeah.
Big time cameo in the last episode. If you haven't watched it yet, I won't give it away. But a big time cameo from a previous character.
Mhm.
So that's all good stuff. Looking forward to the finale. Probably going to be a show of the year nominee. There've been a lot of great shows, but I feel like it is trending in that direction. Another show that is out right now, the first 3 episodes, it's going to be 8 episodes in total on Amazon Prime. That'd be the spinoff of The Boys, Gen V. I'm 1 episode in. Have you started this yet?
Not yet. I'm going to start it right after this because I was told by our friend of the podcast, The Fridge, he's like, you're going to laugh your ass off in 1 scene in the first episode.
Yeah, I know which one he's talking about, but there's a couple of good things in there. So it's like I said, it's a spinoff of The Boys. So if you read the comic book The Boys, there's a whole arc that this is kind of loosely based off of. I think there's gonna be some just new characters for the show.
Yeah.
But basically, there's like an X-Men, there's like a Charles Xavier in this universe, and he has like instead of like the school for the gifted youngsters or whatever that Charles Xavier has, like it's that kind of idea with them trying to be on a different team or join the 7 or whatever else. So it's kind of cool. It's almost like college.
I'm telling you,
it's college.
I still think that you and I need to write a graphic novel about the Xavier boarding school, tie in some of our boarding school life, but have it be all of the mutants that are technically mutants, but have shit powers.
Yeah. What was
and the one I came up with is like, sorry?
It's like Meg Griffin, right? She can grow her fingernails really long.
Yeah, but like there was one character that no matter if you ask him or her, like what time is it in this city? They could tell you the exact time.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Like that's cool,
zones.
but like that's not gonna help me. Oh yeah, time zone. What a great
Time
name.
zone.
See,
Time zone.
Yeah.
What time is it in Chicago right now? Like, yeah, I can tell you.
Yeah, and that's the only thing he can do.
Yeah, but like it's not a superpower.
Right. So he's technically admitted to the school, and his dad was like a kick-ass mutant. So he's like a legacy, but he
Well, and
sucks.
not to give away the ending to this movie, but I feel like it'd be one of those things where there's like a group of just like shitty, quote unquote hero, or just super powered individuals.
Yeah.
Something happens where all of like the main heroes
Oh yeah.
can't come and help out, and then it's up to them, and they can't do it. They can't do
Right.
it. They fail at it.
Well, it's also like, or they like steal suits and like try to do something, and they all die.
They just die vicious deaths. You're like, okay.
Like one at a time, like a Saw movie. See what I did?
Oh my god, yeah, you did do
Yeah.
that. Loki season 2 comes out this week. So Ahsoka goes out, but now we have Gen V and Loki season 2. This is a huge one. I know we've talked to plenty of people that have kind of bailed on Marvel stuff, or at least aren't going to watch everything anymore. This is an important show for the MCU going forward. Loki season 1 was very good. This needs to be on par with that.
And this matters, right?
Yeah.
Moving forward, like I don't think Secret Invasion really matters. I don't think Miss Marvel really matters. As decent as that was,
yeah,
but
Loki's
this
huge.
kind of matters.
Yeah,
because Kang's back in it.
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah, that's a
you
big
know.
bad. It's a big bad right there. Speaking of big dads, Nathan Fielder has a new show coming out to Showtime. He and Emma Stone in a show called The Curse. We tweeted out the teaser for it at Dork Podcast on Twitter. I don't know. I like this guy. I don't love him like some do. I certainly don't hate him by any stretch. I think he's funny. I think that last show, The Rehearsal, was so insane, and like the attention to detail is it's you can't compare it to anything else in the world. So I respect the uniqueness of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the show. I'll wait and see what people say about the show.
Is this a work? Is this a shoot? Is his whole thing? Is it like?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's probably all. Actually, I don't know. I bet like half the characters it's a shoot, half the characters it's a work.
I don't know. I can't.
Like Emma Stone's got to be in on it.
Yeah, but no, like his whole thing, like his whole affect as a person, like I don't know if that's like a character or like that's genuinely how he is.
Right. And like the way they kind of, because I didn't watch, what was the show he did? Nathan
He
for
did
You?
the one where it was like Nathan for You.
So I didn't watch that, but I watched The Rehearsal. And you're right. Just when you think maybe he is like just writing all this, there's like an interaction he might have with somebody, and you're like, oh man, that's just kind of what he is.
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah,
like that. The whole thing of The Rehearsal when he's walking around and he has that thing where he can like, it's like a laptop stand that he can wear around his neck, and he's just like walking around with that thing.
Insane. Yeah.
Well, it's nuts.
Pretty good. All right, let's get to this.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, Ryan, what do you have?
So one thing I wanted to add to This Week in Dorks, so don't start the stopwatch yet because this isn't a minute. But like, did you see the new trailer for Rick and Morty?
Oh,
without
yes,
Justin Roiland?
With the new voices, I think the Rick sounded very much like Rick. The Morty was a little off.
I think, there were times where Rick was, I think they might have put in the best clips because there were some that were better than others. You can definitely tell, but you get the idea. I mean, it's really not that big a deal, but I hope the show gets back on track.
I know, what a weird show. Like when we were doing our best shows of all time, it made the list, but it's a hard show to rank because there are a couple seasons where you're like, this is incredible. And then there's a couple where you're like, eh.
And there's like the timing of it, like it's not just like straight seasons. Like they'll be like, "Oh, we're coming out with 4 episodes 3 times this year." Like, what the hell is that?
Like I
feel like the show can't get any momentum.
I know. I think I've seen every episode ever, but like maybe there's a chance I haven't. I don't know.
I know. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. But this, speaking of scary, Richard. Speaking of Dork Toober.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, happy Dork Toober to you. Sorry I didn't
Happy Dork Toober to you. Yeah. Where are we on now? We're
7.
Final chapter.
The final chapter,
which isn't actually the final chapter.
Never is.
I love how you wrote. We have a side chat with Mac and Goo, and you're like, "Oh, why?" It's like you told them you were quitting, and then had to like tell them you were kidding.
Yeah.
But as Kotaku writes, and this is I was looking at the Kotaku article about this. This is a scary good month for video games.
Oh,
how many games are coming out this month? It's actually quite shocking. And one of them is a complete surprise. So what if I told you, Richard, that there is? I posted this on Twitter like a week ago. I had no idea this game was coming out. There's a Hellboy game coming out where Hellboy is voiced by Lance Reddick.
Really?
And it's like a roguelike beat 'em up game.
Wow.
For like,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
check that out.
written by all like Hellboy writers. So it's this, and it's I had no idea this game was coming out, and it
What is
comes
it?
out next week.
Oh, that's a good time. Dork Toober. Yeah, hell yeah.
Right? You got a new Assassin's Creed game coming out next week or this week.
Okay.
Scorn, the game that was like the HR Giger game.
Okay.
I played it a little bit. It's one of those like slow paced first person shooter games, puzzles. Comes out for PlayStation this month.
Okay.
There's a new Dark Pictures anthology movie coming out. I mean, game coming out. Remember, that's the one like the Choose Your Own Adventures, like the.
Oh yeah.
So they have a new game coming out. I'm gonna keep going.
Go ahead. I know one. I'm waiting on the one. That's at the end of the month.
There's a new Forza Motorsport coming out. There is. Oh, there's one. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm not even halfway there. The Batman Arkham trilogy is finally coming to Switch for all you Switch players out there. I haven't played any of the Arkham games.
Okay.
So that's good. Sonic Superstars, which is like a 2D side-scrolling. It's a new Sonic game that's a 2D game, so side-scroller.
Cool.
A game called Wizard. Devolver, who has made some incredible games over the past few years, came out a game called Wizard with a Gun on the 17th. October 18th is Hellboy Web of Weird, WYRD, Word. Weird or Word, whatever.
Word.
And then we have, let's see, Gargoyles Remastered. Like the Disney show Gargoyles video game.
Sure.
There's a Bluey game coming out in November. I
know.
saw that.
That looks great. I'm probably gonna have to get that because it's funny. I was playing Mario Kart with Cece the other day, and she's like, what else can I play? And so I was like trying to get her in like some of the like Nintendo Marios and like Super Nintendo Marios, and that's just kind of tough. Like she's 4, so it's like that's tough. So she's like, I wish there's more games I could play, and I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to get this Bluey game.
Oh my god, there's just so many games this month. I'm like halfway done, by the way.
Okay.
So on October 20th, Marvel Spider-Man 2, which did you see the new Adidas shoes that they dropped?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
220, but
220?
220.
220. Let me tell you about 220.
This is how we do it. This is how we do it.
220.
So $220, but they're like, so they look like the original Donovan Mitchells with the blue and the red.
Love
They
that.
have the white stripes like the advanced suit, but they have the black coming up. Like the bottoms are black, and you can see like the symbiote coming up.
Not to tell everybody how to spend their money. Save $1 a day for a year. You can buy those shoes, and you'd still have like $140 left over. That's insane. There's only $1 a day.
It's for $1 a day. You sound like a Sally Struthers or like a Sarah McLachlan for just $1 a day.
Just $1 a day. What the fuck?
Well, the problem is too is like this is like an exclusive drop, so that's even if you can get them.
You're not going to be able to get them.
I have the most commonly sized foot in all of creation, so I'm probably not getting it.
Of average height, weight, and shoe size?
I will have you know, Richard, that I'm above average height.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
I can tell you according to my last physical 6 months ago, I am 5'9.5".
That's the average height? 5'9" is?
The average height of the American male is 5'9". I'm above average height.
What's the foot? What kind of foot do you got?
10.5.
That's average.
That's right on the money average. That's the most widely sold shoe size, I think.
I bet you're talking to a pair of 12s over here.
I know, yeah.
What do you think of that?
Ugh.
Although it's offset,
but on the same day,
offset by my tiny hands, so don't worry about it.
So it all equals out. On the same day as Spider-Man, there's a new Mario Brothers game coming out.
Oh, that's the one that has the fuck. We did a thing on it. You were talking about it. It's got like a different suit.
Yes, it has a new
one?
suit. Yep. So it's Mario Brothers Wonder. A new Lord of the Rings game is coming out that no one's going to give a shit about.
No.
And then on October 24th, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. So it's all like it has Metal Gear for NES, Snake's Revenge, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid VR missions.
Yep.
Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3, all in one game, all remastered.
Why not?
So that's pretty good.
That's a lot.
And then Ghost Runner 2
Okay.
Comes out, which Ghost Runner is one of my favorite games of like a couple years ago. They're making a sequel to that. And then Dave the Diver, which I actually played, is coming to Switch and consoles October 26th.
Mm.
And then Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake was this amazing game that came out it's like a Silent Hill kind of game. That has a sequel coming out, which looks amazing. UFC 5. And then that's it. But like, how many games are coming out this month after like what seemed like a weird dry spell for games?
Yeah, it's a ton.
It's a ton this month. That's all this month.
You know what I read about Mortal Kombat 1, because you were talking about some of these Switch games. Apparently, Mortal Kombat 1 for Switch blows. That's at least
it's so bad.
I guess like it doesn't run on Switch, so don't get it for Switch.
Yeah.
But everywhere else it's an awesome game. But
so did you see too? Speaking of Dork Toober, and this is the last thing I'll say. So Ed Boon tweeted out this thing, and I think I tagged you in it. So it had all of the horror people that were like checked off that they've had in the game. So it's like a poster of like every horror, like it had Jason, Freddy,
all like Alien, the icons that you think of,
and they're all checked off,
like who are in
Mortal Kombat. And then there were 2 with question marks. One of them was Leatherface, I believe, and the other one was Ghostface.
Yeah, no, there was a bunch. Didn't Chucky have a question mark? And Jigsaw, or Billy the Puppet had like a
Billy the Puppet. Look, if Mortal Kombat 1 brings in Ghostface, you kind of have to buy it, right?
Yeah.
Look, what are we doing?
Obviously, I have to.
And then I saw Spawn was in Call of Duty. Like I almost downloaded Call of Duty again just to play as Spawn because that's fucking cool. And they had like an Al Simmons skin too, like Spawn before he was Spawn.
That is cool.
Which is kind of cool, but like
that is cool.
I can't do it. Yeah, that's a long video game minute.
Good video game minute. It was just barely over the minute, but good stuff as always. Right, you ready for the topic du jour?
As we just not really.
Yeah,
not really.
It's actually quite clear that you're not. No, that is fair.
Last week,
most of it.
I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film.
I saw a horror film.
I saw 9 horror films again that I really didn't want to watch again. But.
So here we go. We're off to the races. So we're going to start with sort of a Saw retrospective, as Saw 10, Saw X, whatever you want to call it, was just in theaters this past weekend. It allowed us, and maybe many of you out there, to rewatch all the Saws, which I had a blast doing. I think we may disagree on some of this. I love these. And so if you haven't done it yet and you want stuff to watch during Dorktober, Saw 1 through 5 is on Amazon Prime, as is Jigsaw. Spiral is on Hulu, and I don't know where Saw 6 is. So full disclosure, I've seen that movie a couple of times. I did not watch it this week. I watched every other movie though this week in anticipation for this and the release of Saw X. Overall, Ryan, what are your thoughts on the Saw franchise as a whole?
So there's like any good franchise, like any good sports franchise, you had a really good run for a long time, and then everything just kind of turns to shit in the middle. And I feel like there's if you look at the Patriots, but there's hope because I feel like they're rebuilding now.
Yeah.
Once again. So there's some time in the middle where it's just a lot of dog shit. Well, and there's once you get to a certain character, which is like that sucks.
Yeah, I get I disagree. I agree and disagree with that all wrapped up in one. Let me start by saying that I don't know if enough people know this about me. I love the Saw franchise.
I think people do know that.
I brought it up.
You've made it quite clear.
So there's only in all the horror franchises, which I enjoy many of them. You're allowed to enjoy many of them. I would say the only one I truly like more and know more about would be Scream. Scream is clearly my favorite. I also think out of the 6 movies, I think like if you gave every movie a score between like 0 and 100, I think their average would be like the highest. There's no like Scream 3 is not great, but it's not like dog shit like some of these other movies are in other franchises.
Mm-hmm.
I also really after the rewatch, I was surprised how much I liked all the Saws. Whereas Halloween, I also love, but there's like 3 or 4 unwatchable movies in the Halloween series. Same with Nightmare on Elm Street. Same with Friday the 13th.
Same with Saw.
I know you're gonna say that. I disagree. I love it. I also absolutely love the fact that for 6 consecutive years they put out a movie around Halloween. That's insane.
Well, I think that's impressive to be able to crank out a movie a year, and there's obviously some overlap with them. Like there's the end of one movie is like the first scene of the next one.
Well, they
like,
do bleed over quite a bit because
Yeah.
for a series that is considered torture porn, there is quite a layered plot and there's a lot going on. It's so convoluted that I actually enjoy it. Like it's so ridiculous at times, and I'm like, I'm in on it because what they did was they kept taking like a movie or like a thing and then fucking around with it almost like Star Wars, where they're like, let's fill in a little more story here, let's move a little story here. That's even what Saw 10 is. Saw 10's like Dave Filoni diving into episode 2 and 3 and be like Clone Wars and like just throwing stuff out there. So this came out, the first one in 2004. We were both in college, and I remember seeing it with my best college buds. Shout out to Bales, Ike, and Henneke. We went to the little shit theater in Geneva, New York, and saw the first one based on like probably just the trailer, and maybe we saw the poster and we're like, that looks fucking freaky. It was Halloween time. We went and saw it, loved it, and we're scared. We were like scared. And to set the stage, this is a group of individuals that like I'm clearly the smallest. I'm clearly like the worst fighter out of this quartet, which is why I like hanging out with these guys all the time.
Yeah.
And terrified. Like these are grown-ass men, big dude. They're scared. We're all scared. We loved it. The next year, we were all living together. The second one came out. All saw that in the theater. Loved that one too. And then I think we maybe graduated or whatever. But then like I kept seeing them as they went out. I haven't seen all of them, or I didn't see all of them in the theater. I would say probably about half of them. But man, I like them. I like them quite a bit.
I think I saw 1, 2, and 3 in the theater.
Yeah, probably. And
I think The Ring scared me a little bit more.
Ooh, The Ring scared me a lot too.
But that was 2002. So The Ring scared me a little bit more, but
yes,
Saw was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing about Saw, and I think it gets kind of lost in the fact that there are so many of these movies. And I mentioned like the torture porn label, which they got attached to it, like Hostel, Saw, Devil's Rejects, like they all got kind of tossed together. Upon rewatch, Saw 1, not that gory at all.
No, it's really not.
There's a lot of cutaways, like there's a lot of like implied violence, and it has like that grimy, like I mean, most of the movie takes place in like that basement bathroom type of thing, so it's gross. But there's really not a lot of blood. There's not a lot of like over the top crazy violence. Like it's very much like Seven. It's clearly inspired by Seven and David Fincher and things like that. You know what it also reminds me of is the first Rambo movie is like legit a good war movie, but because of the sequels, everyone's like, oh, it's just fucking like steroids and guns. And you're like,
no.
The first one's like a really good, like
it's a really good movie, and he was actually supposed to in the first ending. He was supposed to die in that movie.
Well, luckily
in
they
the first Rambo. In the first Rambo,
you get some sweet scenes after that.
It was real dark. So I don't know if you know this, but the end of First Blood, he was supposed to check out. Rambo was supposed to check out when talking to like what's his name, the colonel there.
It would have been intense.
Yeah,
it was great though. But because these movies came back. Like the second one, the next year, and the third one, they're like boom, 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 boom. And then they started to really up it, and it became more about like gruesome deaths. But I think Saw 1 probably has the least amount of blood, or definitely the least amount of blood, the least amount of deaths, and like and all that. Even though there are deaths and there is some blood.
But I remember like Carrie Elway's like cutting off his foot. I don't think they actually showed it.
No.
They just showed him kind of crawling away with like a bloody stump, but they never actually showed him cutting into his ankle.
He's got the saw. He's screaming. They cut over to Adam, played by the writer Lee.
And he's like, no.
Yeah. He's going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I think you can look at it similar to the Halloween, where take the first one as a standalone and like what it is, and just enjoy that. Like I had that in my top 10 horror movies all time when we did our list for Dork Toober. I think 2 years ago we did our top 50. Saw was in my personal top 10, and I don't know if any of the others would be necessarily in the top 50, But like I love the first one as it is, and then if you want to include this bigger universe and like everywhere they went with it, like fine. But similar Halloween, like Halloween, if you want to get crazy with all the sequels, you can. But if you just watch the 1978 Halloween, like you don't need more than that. That's like a perfect movie on its own.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Okay. Um, Danny Glover, kind of a surprise to even be in the movie. He's also one of the very few characters in Saw. This is spoilers, by the way, for all these movies. One of the few characters that doesn't come back. Like there's no callback to him. We've seen characters that were perceived dead that weren't dead. We've seen characters that were like minor characters in one movie only to be a much bigger character for the rest of the series. You get an actor like Danny Glover, maybe the most famous actor to be in any of these. I thought he played an awesome role too, where he's like a cop, he loses his partner, now he's gone like crazy, like he's the guy in the dark room with like the murder board, like trying to figure out
the Pepe Sylvia board. Yeah,
Pepe Sylvia going, and but he was a cool character, and then you never saw him again.
Yeah, and so there was that whole thing too. He was following around. Was it Lawrence Gordon? He was following him around because like he thought he was the Jigsaw killer, and he wasn't.
Yeah, because they do a good job of he was one of the guys that was being sort of set up for it. Like they were leading you in that direction. Like Jigsaw was trying to frame Dr. Lawrence Gordon, played by Carrie Elways, and then he gets him involved in his trap. So when you see Dr. Gordon and Adam in the basement, they're locked up with Jigsaw in there. Unbeknownst to them, you see Jigsaw there in the middle, which was a sick twist. I don't think anybody saw that happening, him getting up. Because as the first movie's playing, you think fucking old Benjamin Linus from Lost, you think he's actually the killer. Like the whole time you think it's Zepp. You think he's the one. But I love
there's another Lost connection there. Wasn't the guy who played there's another guy, the Danny Glover's new partner.
Yeah, Detective Singh was Miles from
That's
Lost.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, they do a pretty good job. Now, let me ask you this. We talked about this a little bit actually at the end of the Lost episode, but for those that missed it, if you woke up in a basement locked to something and there was another person in there, would you immediately, like, how would you approach that? Would you think that they're definitely in the same position as you, or would you think maybe they're somehow in on it and they're like, it's a fucking weird thing? Or like,
there's got to be a connection between the two of us. If I don't recognize that person right away, it's like, why are we here? Like, let's figure that out. Yeah. Like, why are we both here? Like, who are you? What do you do?
And in this case, there was a connection. They eventually figured out, which was pretty cool because you're trying to make sense of like what's going on with Adam, and Adam does know Dr. Gordon, or at least know of him. He's taking pictures of him.
I don't remember. I watched this again this week, and I don't remember right off the top. Does he tell him right away that he knows who he is?
Nope.
That's why I would tell you. I'd be like, no, I know you. Like I know why we're both here.
Yeah, but he was sneaky taking pictures of him, so I don't think
that's what I'm saying. I would have told him that.
Yeah, just get that out in the open. Be like,
like we're both here. Like I know who you are. Like I've been following you for weeks. Like we're here together for a reason.
Yeah, no, the whole thing. But then like the game too is Dr. Gordon has to kill Adam so he can get out of there. Right. It's like, how are you gonna kill him? They're stuck over there. Then he has the gun. He gets the gun. He has the one bullet. It's a whole thing. Billy the Puppet is sort of like the face of this, because even though Jigsaw played by Tobin Bell in I think almost all of these movies, he's at least referred to in all of them. He's not necessarily in all of them. He's like the iconic voice and everything else, but like the image that comes with Saw is fucking Billy the Puppet, who I think is pretty creepy.
Oh, when he comes in, the first time you see him, he comes in on the tricycle.
It's insane.
Super crazy.
It's super creepy.
What's scary? Is Billy the Puppet or the pig mask scarier?
Oh, so I'm glad So the pig mask, because it usually comes from like behind you in the shadows and stabs you with like a needle to knock you out. I think the pig mask is scarier. The Billy the Puppet's creepier.
Yeah.
But they both are. Yeah, the pig mask is fucking. It'll get you.
It'll come get you. Yeah.
That'll get you. All right. So Saw 2. And so Saw 1, like a great twist at the end and all that. I also like, and some people may not, I like and it's become a joke too. Like at the end of every Saw movie, don't worry if you weren't paying attention. We're gonna sum this up in 90
recap the whole thing.
I like it. And maybe that's like it's a storytelling for dummies, but like I'll take it. I'll take the quick recap, and you give me a little bit of piece of everything, and like, oh,
It's like
I
a
should have
clip
saw that
show.
one. It is. They do a clip show every time. The fact, and then that music plays. As soon as that music plays, you're like, oh, we're in for a fucking twist. Somebody's gonna tell somebody what's up. So I enjoy that very much. I think that's a 6 out of 6 movie. It's the only 6 out of 6 movie in the series, but like I think it starts with like a boom, here we go. And it's a cool story too, with like James Wan and Lee Whannell, the two guys from Australia that were friends from film school. And like they just wanted to make this movie. Nobody really wanted to make it. They came to Los Angeles. They were given $1 million to make the movie, and James Wan directed it. Lee is obviously in it as Adam, and he wrote the screenplay. And for $1 million, they made the first movie. Apparently, they got offers just to buy the script for like 200,000 or 250,000, and good for them. They fucking said no, we'll do it. They found.
And how much did this movie make?
Holy shit, a ton.
I remember this. I remember when this came out, people were going bananas about this movie.
Yeah. Oh, it was one of these horror movies. A lot of horror movies, if they hit it just right, they can make just an ungodly amount. Let's see. Box office, just under 104 million.
Which for a horror movie, that's a no-name horror movie. Yeah, it cost one,
and they made 104. Yeah,
so that profit paid for the rest of the movies.
One of the stories goes to for sure. One of the stories goes. I was listening to a podcast called Seeing Saw, which is actually pretty good. They were doing it as like a build up to Spiral, then they brought it back as a build up to Saw X or Saw 10, and one of the producers in the film. So you know the scene where Amanda Young escapes the reverse bear trap, and she like has to like cut open that guy's stomach and get the key out. Yeah. That's like one of the producers. They were like, we didn't have enough money to pay for just like a random actor to be down there. So like one of the producers just like jumped in and did it.
He just covered his face and just like
fucking get in there.
Yeah.
Just rip his guts open. All right. So Saw 2 comes out the very next year. This is where you get Donnie Wahlberg as Detective Eric Matthews. And this is like a full-on escape room, but it's also a great trick where, and you see this in a lot of the Saw movies where there's like games going on and people are watching on these like monitors. But it's the old one of the twists in this movie is that the monitors aren't live. So everything that they're watching has already happened.
Happened like 2 days before or something, right?
And Jigsaw's sitting there, and he has that line that's pretty good. You miss it the first time, but after you watch it the first time, where he said, he tells Donnie Wahlberg that your son is safe. His son was literally in a safe, like right next to him. Yeah, he was there. The kid was in the room the whole time.
He's in the room the whole. He's in the room the whole time. The call's coming from in the house. So that was a nice little twist to that.
I like that. I also liked too, because like Jigsaw has like the deep voice, and he says all this stuff, and he like thinks he's like so poetic, and like there's the scene where Eric Matthews just like that's great, John. Just fucking tell me where my kid is. He's like, I know, like he's like, I don't care about this whole like I want to play a game. And like,
but the other twist to this too is one where you found out that Amanda was helping him from the first one,
which is such a cool idea to take what we saw from the first one as being like a very rare survivor. Like everybody that gets set up in these games dies. Like they get in the trap and they die. Amanda escapes, but she actually, it kind of justifies what Jigsaw thinks he's doing, which is like people need to appreciate their life. Oh, because that's the other part that we didn't even mention. Like the whole backstory with this criminal, unlike all the other ones, is he's dying. Like he is dying. He has a form of cancer where he has like months to live. And so he's like, people, especially scumbags, need to appreciate life. And that's like what he goes out to do. And yeah, so Amanda being an accomplice is great. And then it like in a roundabout way, because he's basically just telling Donnie Wahlberg to like, don't do anything. I just want to talk. And had he done that, he would have like gotten his son back. Right. But like he goes crazy and then ends up in the same basement bathroom as Adam and Dr. Gordon, which was a fucking good finish to that movie.
Yes, it was.
So Saw 3, it opens with you got Donnie Wahlberg stuck in the cuff basement, and you also get the debut of Detective Mark Hoffman, who then becomes a pretty major character in this, for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, yeah.
I also like Detective Allison Carey, played by Dina Meyer.
Dina Meyer from Starship Troopers.
Dude, not only from Starship Troopers, but I remember being as a kid, as a youngster,
Yep.
we all saw Starship Troopers and we all loved Starship Troopers.
Mhm.
The selling point to that movie originally for like a 13-year-old boy was Denise Richards is in this movie.
Right.
Watch it for Denise Richards. And we all
And
love
there's nudity.
and there's nudity. I have not a bad thing to say about Denise Richards, but Dina Meyer is like even better than Denise Richards in this movie.
Eh.
You don't think so?
Um,
Huh.
there's okay. No, yeah, yes, you're right. I was
Dina
gonna say,
Meyer.
listen,
Each their own.
I'm being crass.
To each their own. That's
To
what I
each
was
their
saying.
I'm being
An
a
asshole.
guy. I'm being a guy being dude,
You're
you know,
being
the
a-
locker room talk. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Just in my past.
I like to take old biddies and bunch in mocks.
I think she's very attractive, and she's very attractive in these films as well. And it was hard to see her get her rib cage ripped apart.
But a good kill though.
Good kill, good trap. Oh, one of my questions with her trap. So if you remember Saw 3, Detective Carey is like
Mhm.
strung up on the thing, and in front of her, there's like a key inside like a
Acid.
pitcher of acid.
Yeah.
Now, watching it again this week, I thought now she might not have survived anyway, because one of like the interesting subplots of this whole thing is how Jigsaw likes to have a fair trap and a fair
Yes.
game, whereas two of his acolytes rig it. Like Hoffman and Amanda both like, we
Where
don't
they
give a
can't.
fuck.
There's
We just
no
wanna
way.
kill- we just want to kill people. But at the same time, she sticks her hand into the acid, like her flesh melts off when she's getting the key. Couldn't she have dumped all the acid out? Oh, the
So
thing
then
was
the key
kind
would
of
come out too. Or you could have done it like slowly.
yes, I'm saying do it
Yeah.
slowly while the key's still there, so you wouldn't have gotten as much acid.
And not only that, I think the acid would have eaten the key.
Oh yeah, or did the key just get dropped in there immediately, right? Like when the thing turned on. I'm not sure, but yeah, you're
know.
right. It's
Acid would have eaten the key.
acid-proof.
So like that was one of those things I was like, okay, well,
No, they wanted
that
to.
doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
They just wanted to kill her. So this is the other thing. A lot of times, Jigsaw or whoever's playing Jigsaw at that
Mhm.
time, they're doing this to like real assholes.
Right.
Detective Janney isn't, and like they even spin
No.
it basically like in her little like message thing. It's like you work too hard, or like you communicate. You're like all you care about is like the dead, because she is a homicide detective.
Yeah, that's my job.
So that one's kind of loosey goosey. I don't really like that one. Or
No,
so
but it also, I think it speaks to the point that it's Amanda and Hoffman who
and
like
because
don't.
I think Janney was she was sniffing this out. Like I think she was like,
Carrie, who's Janny?
Allison Carey.
Carrie. Yeah.
Did I say Janney?
Yeah.
Allison Janney.
That Allison Janney. That's another act. Yeah.
Yeah, to Allison Carey. I think also she was sniffing around, like she knew there was that one of those kills wasn't like a Jigsaw kill. So I
Right.
wonder if Hoffman was like, fuck, we gotta get rid of her, because like she's a good detective. She's gonna get on us for that. All right, so Saw 4 then comes out in 2007, and one of the big twists in this one is at the end, and I love this. I've been reading online like different people's rankings. A lot of people have 4 ranked kind of low. I have it ranked pretty high.
I had it ranked pretty high.
Basically, what you find out is that Saw 4 plays out at the exact same time as Saw 3, which I think is fucking awesome. Like that's a good
Which
twist.
is, yeah, like that's a good twist there.
Mhm.
But the movie itself is like, this is where you start to see in 4 where the quality of movie starts to dip a little into B movie territory.
Well, and I wonder, like, they're just pumping them out every year. Where like, you're
Right.
like, you need to have another one ready to go for the next
And this
year.
is the one that starts or ends with Donnie Wahlberg getting his head crushed, right?
Wahlberg at the end gets the ice blocks to the brain, double ice
Yep.
blocks to the brain, and is done. This one, which I think is a cool idea for a horror movie, it opens up with the autopsy of John Kramer. So the guy who is for sure the villain, you know, he's the lead main villain. And you're like, as a viewer, you're like, all right, so he's like off the board now. Like he's he's gone, like he's dead. Like that'd be like starting with like Michael Myers like dead, like, and he's not coming back. But they do a good job with like flashbacks and jumping around where like you can still use them. And he swallowed a fucking tape at the end of 3 so they can play it out of his belly in the 4th one and like talking shit to everybody. Like the guy's 10 steps ahead, which I really like. But it opens with the autopsy, which is kind of crazy. You also had a trap in this one where pitting 2 people against each other, and one guy, they're tied to a thing connected to each other. One guy has his eyelids sewn shut, the other guy has his mouth sewn shut.
Right.
Which is pretty slick because it's like, all right, how do you communicate there? And how do you not just assume that the other person's trying to kill you or whatever? Do you enjoy the solo trap, the 1 versus 1 trap, or like the team can work together trap?
I wouldn't say I'm like a type A person, but I do hate group projects. I'll work with another person, but I don't want to work in a group.
Yeah, because those ones seem like, I mean, nobody, like a whole team never makes it out. In fact,
the whole team never makes it. And like there's always one person who like goes rogue or like tries to
like
do
in the
like
second one, like that one guy was just like fucking not having it, and he's like cutting people, like he's like just trying
the big guy.
Big guy's just trying to get everybody's number on the back of their neck once he figures that whole thing out. Yeah, so this one I think was more like the big takeaway was like, oh shit, that's going on at the same time as that. I also like Detective Rigg, who they bring him back. He was like with Eric Matthews in the first one. He was like the guy, and like he worked with Terry and he worked with Matthews. Now he's fucking losing it. Now they're running the test through him. So that's one of the reasons why I like 4 a lot. Oh, by the way, the first movie we said directed by James Wan. 2, 3, and 4 are all directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who comes back and directs Spiral. It's funny. There's a lot of like overlap with writers, editors, directors. It's like, they very much all work together. So Saw 5, I think this ride to me is where it really jumps up to, all right, we know the plot for the last 2 were kind of like pretty dense. So this is just going to be more blood, more kills, more traps. Right. Just fucking here it is. This is the one where Hoffman kills his sister's ex-husband who killed her with like that pendulum.
See, this is like where you're starting to get like,
fuck it.
What?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like there's a strong enough connection there where you're like,
he's just gonna do it. But I do like his out though, where his idea, so Jigsaw was already out and about killing people. And so Hoffman, his sister gets killed. The guy goes to jail, but only for a couple of years. So when that guy gets out of jail, he's like, I'm going to take this in my own hands. I'm going to kill this guy, set it up to look like Jigsaw. So he'll just get lapped onto, like, thrown onto the Jigsaw pile. Right. And there won't be any people looking at him. So, like, in that sense, I think it was kind of smart.
But then, like, Jigsaw catches him and then was like, I'm going to tell everyone what you did unless you do what I tell you to do.
100%. And then so they have their whole thing. And, like, and these stories are told, like, throughout the whole series. You know, it's almost like a TV show. Like, you almost, once after the first one, you almost need to watch these like in quicker time than even a year, because there'll be stuff in a movie that they sort of set up that doesn't get explained for like 3 movies later. You know what I mean? Like they'll be like, all right, we'll tie up this thread in Saw 6, even though you mentioned it in Saw 3.
And this is another like murder house thing, right?
Yeah. Saw 5. Well, Saw 5, you also get the ending where now you have the FBI. Well, the FBI's now been involved.
FBI's
in the last couple. So you have Special Agent Peter Strom, who he's in that thing. So Strom versus Hoffman becomes like a big thing, which to me was funny because Strom, you knew him as Lorelei's boyfriend in Gilmore Girls, Luke. And then Hoffman was in one episode, although it was a very memorable episode of Sex and the City. So you have these 2 guys in Saw going back and forth, and all I can think of is Sex and the City and Gilmore Girls.
I think he was, by the way, Peter Strom was also Elaine's boyfriend in Seinfeld, who was trying to pitch that he was sponge-worthy. And she says, you can do something about the sideburns?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's him too.
It probably is. This one's interesting too, because I think for the first time in movie history, you get a scene where a character's in a room where the walls are closing and the walls never stop. Like Star Wars, they stop. They stop it.
Yeah.
This one, they don't stop. And you get the really creepy finish where Hoffman goes into the ground in the glass coffin and he's looking up and he's just staring at him with like this fucking like little like face on him. And then Strom just gets like smushed to pieces. It's fucking gross. Saw 6, I think, is actually a pretty good one. This is basically what Saw goes to the zoo. There's an insurance executive, William
See, this is where I'm like, this is so fucking dumb.
But he makes decisions, Ryan. William Easton makes decisions as an insurance executive on like who lives and who dies, who gets it, who doesn't. You have Theo Huxtable is in this. Was that Theo Huxtable? No, not Theo Huxtable. It was fuck, who was it? Was it Eddie from Family Matters?
I think so.
I think it might have been Eddie. There's also the game, the carousel roulette, where this is a fucked game. So basically, this guy's just going around and he has to pick and choose between like who lives and who dies, and like that's the whole setup. And so he has a group of people. There's 6 people on his team that try to find anything out about you, and so they can like veto your claims. And there's a shotgun with 2 bullets in it, and each person takes a turn and like right in front of the gun, and he has to do a thing to like stop it, and he has to like get his hand fucking like sliced open or whatever. But he basically like 4 people get smoked and like he saves 2 of them. It's insane.
And this is the one at the end where he has the mother and son of a guy he denied a claim for and his sister, and he's like, you got to choose between these 2 people. And then it was like the twist of like, no, the mother and son get to pick who lives and who dies.
Yeah, but not only that, the twist too, the way they built it up was you kind of thought that the mother and son were that was the husband of the insurance guy,
right?
But it wasn't. It was actually a guy that died because he denied his claim,
right? And this he gets killed in a spectacular fashion, right? This is where he gets like the needles in his back that are acid, and he like melts.
Yep, insane.
Yeah, right in front of his sister.
This was also one where you get Hoffman versus Jill. So Jill is Jigsaw's ex-wife, Jill Tuck, and they're going back and forth with each other because Jigsaw left different things in his will, blah blah blah.
Right.
And so the reverse bear trap, which Amanda got out of back in Saw 1, Jill puts it on Hoffman, and Hoffman is able to figure out a way to like kind of get out of it. He like jams it into like the window kind of thing where there's like bars, so it only like half opens, and fucking slices his face open, but he like gets out of it and he lives.
Right.
So that's how Saw 6 ends. The next year you get Saw 3D, aka Saw 7, aka Saw the Final Chapter,
aka one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
This is the worst one in the group. This is to me this to me is the 10th out of 10.
Yeah.
And they go for like a shock and awe twist or callback that has not been mentioned since. They've not so they go with Dr. Lawrence Gordon is still alive.
Still alive.
And working for Jigsaw. I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. I also don't like the guy from Boondock Saints. Is the guy who's like the main guy in this, and they like he's supposedly a survivor of a Jigsaw trap, but he wasn't. He was lying about it.
Yeah.
So they make him do the same trap again.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is all those things. It's like this weird narrative stacking where they're just like,
it's a ton. Well, they keep adding.
And they just keep piling the shit on top of stuff.
But then they keep like rewriting the past, like because at first, if you watch the first movie, you just think that Jigsaw's working on his own. And then as they go on, like, oh, he was also working with Amanda. Oh, he was also working with Hoffman. Oh, apparently now he's also working with Gordon. He's also, we'll get to Jigsaw in a minute. He's also working with that guy, Logan. So it's like, he has a shitload of acolytes. But I don't mind this as a premise where there's a famous serial killer and like he's known for putting people through traps. So there are people that escape. There are people that are still alive. And actually we'll get to one of the other traps. That was a crazy one that somebody survived. But Oh yeah, no, back in Saw 6.
Can we stop and talk about how Chester Bennington is in this movie too, as like one of the neo-Nazis that get killed?
Saw 3D, yeah,
Like,
tough.
what?
Yeah, tough. Oh, but one of the other great traps in Saw 6 was basically call it like the pound of flesh trap, where you had two people head to head with each other. I think the head to head ones are pretty great, actually. And so it was basically you got to fill a bucket in front of you with stuff that you cut off of yourself, and whoever has the most wins, and whoever doesn't is like, see you later. And so it's this fat guy and this skinny girl. And so the fat guy just starts cutting off his stomach. The girl, there's a good shot where the girl looks down, she lifts her shirt up, and she's like ripped. She's like, And then so she's fucking thinking about it, she's like looking at her arm. The guy just keeps cutting off fucking fat from his stomach. Then she just at the end chops her whole arm off, drops the fucking thing in, and wins. And then they kill that guy. So she survives. Hoffman even visits her in the hospital. So my point is, like, there are people who survive. So the fact that the guy from Boondock Saints is like, here's my thing. I'm gonna tell a fake story. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna become famous. And then they're gonna figure out, they're like, no, dude,
And
he's
got like 2 little scars on his chest. Like it's not even like messed up at all. So one of the things that I was watching, I'm watching like recaps and like all this stuff, and like people who did like deep dives and stuff. And apparently the guy who directed the later half Saw movies, he wanted to make sure he had like all these like practical effects, but he also wanted to make sure that the traps worked.
That's pretty cool.
Like, so they on their own, like they would work. Like, that's kind of fucked up too.
Yeah, it's kind of goddamn messed up. Yeah. So David Hackle directed 5. Then Kevin Grudert, he did 6, 7, and the most recent one.
Yeah. So he's the one who was like, yeah, I just wanted the practical effects. We like set up these. We actually made them out of like metal and made sure that they actually would work. I'm like, crazy, kind of fucked up, man.
Right, bud. Okay.
Yeah.
So this finally, after 6 movies, after 7 movies, you get the reverse bear trap actually going off.
Finally.
So Hoffman puts it on Jill, and her head fucking snaps open, and it was crazy. That was
It's pretty gruesome looking, yeah.
That is intense. And then this one ends with Hoffman slammed into the original OG bathroom from the first one by Gordon. To which I would ask you, do you think Hoffman is actually dead? Because we haven't seen him in the 3 movies since.
I mean, I don't think so.
Probably alive.
So like he's probably alive, but
probably not doing
every time someone gets left in that room, they come out. So
except for Adam. Adam got fucking.
We never saw again.
He got smothered by Amanda. No, Amanda came back because she felt bad.
That's right.
Remember, she finished in 3, I think. Yeah, so that she went back and smoked him. So then you have a 7-year gap. So for 6 straight years, they put out one after another, or 7 straight years, put out one after another. Then in 2017, they rebooted the franchise because I think like Saw 3D, as you can imagine, probably did the worst in the box office and all that. So then they come out with Jigsaw. And this was pretty cool twist because you're like, how are they going to pull this off? Jigsaw's dead. And so what they do is the story takes place, like, again, there's a lot of time jumping in Saw. Maybe you wouldn't expect that, but there is. And so it's like one of Jigsaw's early games. It's probably the first game he ever did with a group of people. Because the first game he ever did, or the first trap he ever did, was with Cecil, the drug addict that caused the miscarriage of his wife.
Yes.
He put him in that chair with the knives, and like put his face to the knives. But then what I like about it is the trap didn't even work. It was his first one. Remember, like the chair broke, like it fell. Like, so that was the first one. But this one at Jill Tuck's family's farm was probably the first group setting. But you don't really know what's going on until the end of this movie, when you realize that a guy that had been working with Jigsaw is basically just like 10 years later kind of playing it out the same way. His name's Logan. He was actually the guy that fucked up his x-rays back in
but he did it by accident. Yeah.
But then Jigsaw put him in a game, and what's also telling too is in the early Jigsaw game where he doesn't have a doctor working for him, he doesn't have a police officer working for him. All the people in his game were people that he knew. It was like his neighbor, it was the guy that fucked up his chart, it was the kid who killed his nephew, which was kind of like a random throw in.
Super random.
You're like, all right. This movie also involves lasers and people getting their face sawed off by lasers.
This is the dumbest. There was like the fake lasers and then like the real lasers, and the guy's head split open like a demogorgon. Like
That was kind of crazy.
that's lame.
All right, so then 4 years after that, you get Spiral with Chris Rock, and as the story goes, Chris Rock is like a massive Saw fan and was talking to like the head of Lionsgate about how he wants to do Saw, but with like a couple of jokes mixed in, and they were like, "All right, let's do it." So they did Spiral from the Book of Saw. I think it was supposed to be a 2020 movie, but because they got bumped to 2021, and you have a Jigsaw copycat killer. And so they mentioned John Kramer, they mentioned Jigsaw. That's kind of it. I don't know if they really mentioned anybody else. It's clearly the same world, and it's in reference to, and it's the killer has the same premise where it like leaves clues, leaves tapes. Instead of Billy the puppet, it has like a creepy pig puppet, and it's only targeting cops. Also, the voice in this is oddly more terrifying than the voice in the Saw movies. So the Saw movies, it's like, like, did you want to play a game? It's like that one. This is like a creepy, like, it's kind of like a female AI-ish. Oh, it's unsettling. It's way more unsettling, I think.
She gave like, was it like if you played Portal 2, like those Gladys, like those vibes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really do it. But she's like, every time she's like,
I'm here to kill you. Yeah.
I want to play a game. And you're like, what the fuck? So Chris Rock is a police officer. He's not liked by the force because he turned in a bad cop before. Turns out that bad cop killed the father
of his partner.
Yeah. Right.
It's this whole convoluted thing that and then that kid lived his whole life in take revenge against cops.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock's father was the chief of police when that whole thing went down. So he was involved in it. And Samuel L. Jackson, who's like 10 years older than Chris Rock.
Yeah, but the only reason why this works is because at one point there's a scene where Samuel L. Jackson yells, "Oh, do you want to play a game, motherfucker?" Like, all right. That's why they got him.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Oh, yeah, they got him.
So yeah, this movie's kind of a disappointment. I remember being like, it's fine. And like there was a lot of
it looked way better than like the previous movies.
Yeah.
And that was like the draw for me. Like it looked like an actual movie.
Yep. Yeah. And same with like Jigsaw even too took that jump up compared to the other ones. But you're right. Yeah, Spiral. Saw 3D. I didn't see it in 3D.
I didn't see it in 3D. I don't think you needed to.
No, I'm sure there was the one scene at the very end when Gordon throws the saw like towards Hoffman or like away from Hoffman. I bet that would come at you like in the theater, but that's probably it. All right. So should we get to Saw? Oh no, let me do you this. Stop me on this. What's the best trap? I wrote down a list of traps.
I have
the best trap. So the OG chain trap in the basement, which I think is pretty simple but pretty effective. Yeah. Yes.
Is that the best one?
No. I'm just going to go through them. And so basically, I'm going to give you one, and then I'm going to give you another one, and then we'll just keep like winner stays on all the way to the end.
Okay, so I think okay.
So OG, the just them being chained in the basement, pretty good.
Okay.
Reverse bear trap, pretty good.
I think reverse bear trap takes it there.
I think it's better. The razor box, where in Saw 2, where the girl puts her hands up and then they get stuck there. Remember, she's
that
like,
one's pretty good.
Needle. Because I think if she got help, she could have just gone to the top and reached down and gotten it.
Right.
She immediately put her hands up and then got stuck, and then she was fucked. Mm-hmm. There's also the pit of needles from Saw 2.
Pit of needles is pretty bad.
Pit of needles is fucked.
The
angel trap, that was the one with Alice Terry.
Yep, ripped her ribs out. Yep.
There's also the one from that one where the guy, it's in like he's like being crucified, but it's like turning his bones.
That one was pretty bad.
That was
it slowly keeps twisting, and
like,
that's like
everything's fucked. Yeah.
There's the one that the fat guy gets like his limbs ripped off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
There's the pig vat one where the judge that let the guy go that killed the doctor's husband, like from Saw 3, the guy that's on like the wild goose chase looking for his wife. And he's like chained to this thing, and these dead pigs just keep coming in. They keep slicing the dead pigs in there. You're like, okay. the knife chair, the pendulum trap, the pound of flesh trap, I think was pretty crazy. The carousel roulette.
There's one that, if you know me as well as you think I do, there's one trap that you would be like, this is, if anyone were to like, please don't kill me. First of all, disclaimer, please don't kill me.
Yeah,
But if you were to kill me in a way that would like terrify me, there's one that we haven't mentioned yet.
Oh,
And I think someone actually gets out of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that had his mouth sewn shut, he got out of it because he ended up
Yeah.
leaving.
He just opened his mouth and got
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
it. But that's
yeah.
not the one that would scare me the most.
What's the one?
The one where it's a helmet that they just fill with water and you just drown.
Oh, so that one, that was an interesting one. So that was the special agent Peter Fromm who saved himself because he did the thing where he took his pen and jammed it into his neck.
Gave himself a tracheotomy in the neck, which I would have not thought to do because I would have been panicking so much. But
yeah, but they only had, it wasn't an unlimited supply of water. It was 2 water buckets. Could you have drank enough water to?
Could have landfilled my way out of that? I would have tried. But I have an irrational fear of drowning. That's like my biggest fear in life.
That would have been tough. Like, yeah, that would have been a tough one.
I remember having like a full-blown panic attack. There was a episode of Fear Factor where they had to like go underwater, like in this tube, and like get a key and like come back.
Oh yeah.
And like the dude doing it like got lost, like in the thing, and people were like tapping on the thing to like tell him like which way to go. Like I would have died in that thing.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So best trap overall. I mean, the
reverse bear trap is like the most iconic.
I agree.
Of all of them. Yeah.
And I think like some of them get, like, I'm all for like suspending my level of disbelief or whatever, but some of them are just like so much needs to go right. Like the guy needs to get there at the exact time, and this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and like the whole thing. Whereas like just them putting that thing on and being like, you need to find the key or not.
Good
like,
luck.
Pretty good.
But there's the other one too, where the girl had the key inside her, but it was attached to a fish hook, so they had to like pull it out.
But she couldn't scream. There was like a thing on
scream.
She couldn't scream. They're pulling out a fish hook through her. Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But there were some that, like you said, like the one that had like those huge needles.
Yeah.
That why would you? Who would even make that?
It's insane. Well, I also I go back to, you're talking about all these different people that were in these traps, and it's just they're so far all over the place when it comes to like who gets hooked up in these things.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, you're like, oh, he's like kind of a vigilante because like they're all assholes that he's doing this to. But then there's a few that aren't, and like they'll like tip the scales. There's like that one guy in the motel who's like legit like a rapist, and then there's like another person who's like, you spend too much time at work, and you're like, wait a minute,
how do we balance this? You said no to an insurance claim, which is kind of your job, but
or like sometimes family members get like thrown into it. Like,
what did I do? I didn't do anything. Yeah,
Eric Matthews' kid, like, he didn't need to be in that fucking murder house with everybody. Like, he didn't. Like, he's just a teenager.
But it was a cool twist that he was in there with people that he wrongfully accused.
That was cool. Yeah, like all
that was clever.
All of them.
Yeah, the reason he was there is because all these people, once you find out who your dad is, they're probably going to kill you.
Do you have a favorite character from the series?
Favorite character from the series, other than Jigsaw, doesn't count, right?
No, he could be. If it's John Kramer, it could be.
I mean, I think that's I mean, like you said, you wrote in the notes, like, is he kind of like a sympathetic person? I mean, is he doing, in a weird way? I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it's the most intriguing character, I would say.
I liked Strom when he came in from the FBI. One thing I liked with Strom too is he and Carrie right away like could sniff it out, and like there's 2 scenes like where Hoffman's there with them where they're like no, we're looking for somebody else, and Hoffman's like, well, no, like it's John Kramer, and like we know it's John Kramer, and he's like John Kramer's dying, and he's like, Amanda Young's 100 pounds, like they couldn't lift this person up over here. He's like, we're looking for like a big guy, and Hoffman's like, what? No, we're not. Like we're good.
What do you mean? Because of the mustache? That's not me. I think my least favorite character is probably was that Art Blank. The guy was like the lawyer.
Yeah, and he was the one that was like holding the other trap when Eric Matthews was on the ice blocks.
Yeah.
and he was right next to Hoffman, who's like pretending like he's a part of the trap where he's fucking fine, which
Yeah.
Logan does later on in Jigsaw. He also pretends he's part of the trap. And by the way, Eric Matthews, not to be confused with the brother from Boy Meets World.
Not Boy Meets World, Eric Matthews.
Different guy. Different guy. All right, my rankings, and this will lead into my quick. I'll do a quick Saw 10 review. My rankings for the movies. Number 1, first Saw.
Yep.
Number 2, Saw 2.
Yep.
Number 3, Saw 4.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with that.
And then I go Saw 3. And then I go Saw 6. And then I actually go Saw 5 upon rewatch. I thought it was shittier than when I actually watched it. I kind of liked it enough. And then at 7, I go Spiral. 8, Jigsaw. This is going to be a hot take. At number 9, I have Saw 10, believe it or not. And then at 10, I have Saw 7.
Come on.
So here's what's weird. And Rod, this will kind of just... What's your favorite, least favorite? You're going to have to rank them all.
My favorite is Saw 1.
Oh, yeah.
And my least favorite is Saw 7. So Saw 3D is my least favorite.
Yeah, that's pretty unanimous, probably.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Saw 10 right now on Roddy Tees is getting an 83% critic, 91% audience, which is far and away the best reviewed Saw movies, certainly critically, in the entire series. It's also the longest. Another thing we didn't mention, all these movies are like 90 minutes, 95, 100 minutes.
Maybe. I remember there's some of them that are like, they're not even an hour and a half.
This is just under 2 hours. Saw 10. And it's funny, some of the reviews that I read, they're like, oh, like it's much more of like a regular kind of like movie. It's not like the other Saws. And I'm like, well, what if I like the other Saws? What if I really like the other Saws? Maybe I want it to be more like the Saws.
Maybe I want it to be like that.
It kind of wasn't. And so it takes place in between Saw 1 and Saw 2.
Oh, okay.
And not to be too spoilery, but it's like it's set there. Whereas like all these other movies, it feels like kind of ping pong. Like the whole twist in Jigsaw is like that was from 10 years ago. This is from now.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the other movies, I kind of give you like this is boom. This is because a lot of the other movies, I think starting in Saw 3, they take place like right after the other one. They're like, all right, it picks up immediately after. Whereas there is a little bit of time between Saw and Saw 2. And that's why I was like, this is sort of like Dave Filoni jumping in and like telling a story. I'll say this, it's definitely more sympathetic. So trying to think what else I can say. Oh, there's like a mid-credit scene, and I'm probably gonna give it a 3.5 out of 6.
Bummer.
Kind of a bummer. All right, so here's some spoilers, and I won't go too overboard for you, right? Not that necessarily you care, but for anybody else that hasn't seen it yet, I think if you like the whole series, you'll like it. Maybe you'll like it more than me. It seems like everybody else on the internet likes it more than me. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 though. John Kramer battling his cancer. He, long story short, they're giving him like a very, very short amount of time to live, and he goes to like a self-help group, they're all kind of not self-help group, but just like a counseling support group. That's the word I was looking for. A support group. They're all sitting around telling their story. Fast forward, he's out to lunch. He's like actually drawing some of his traps or whatever, and he's like, I got some work to do. And he sees a guy that was at the support group, and the guy's like doing great. He's like, look, he looks great. He's buying like a coffee, and he sees him, and he's like, oh, hey, John. And John's like, what happened to you? And he's like, well, yeah, it's a long story. He's like, well, I got time if you want to tell it. And he says he went
not that much time, but I got time.
Not that much time, but he went and got this like other therapy, which involves like medicine and a surgery. They can't do it in the United States and blah, 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 like this whole thing. But like, I feel like $1 million and they cured me. And he shows him a scar on his chest and he's like, moving on. And so, but he also gives him like a email to go after. So he reaches out, and it's going to be this, he's going to have to go down to Mexico to get this done. Ton of money, but you're going to go do it. And he gets the surgery, goes down there, he meets the doctors, he meets all these things, gets the surgery. Longer story longer, it's a scam. It's a giant scam. They don't actually even do any kind of surgery on him or anything. And that's why in this movie, it's like he's way more the good guy, because all the people that he kills or goes after in this one are only people that like wronged him or were in on wronging him. My issue with it, and so also Amanda Young is a big part of this movie too.
Yep.
Tough wig, not a great wig. The wig work could have been better.
Wig doesn't work. Yeah.
They both look amazing. Like for them being in the movie 20 years ago, and then it's supposed to take place like now. Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith both look great. Like they look like this. They haven't aged.
I feel like Tobin Bell is kind of like the guy who plays Palpatine. Like he just doesn't. They made him look
Ian
older in the
McKellen?
beginning, and he just
Yeah.
kind of grew into it.
Yeah. Yeah, Tobin Bell's definitely
Yeah.
similar. So he's awesome in the movie, and so is she. If you can get past the wig, they're both really good in it. My one thing, and I know as a big Saw fan, this probably shouldn't be something I'm hung up on. But so they're down there in Mexico. Then he decides, like, all right, like I'm gonna fucking get these people back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the elaborate stuff he is able to set up when it's not a home game, I have a problem with that. If you tell me on his home turf, he can design all this shit, these old buildings that he used to own, or his wife's farm and all this stuff, like I'm good. You can have as elaborate a trap as you want because you had time and resources. I
Right.
don't
And you knew where to get shit.
yes. I don't
Like
think
I can't find milk when I'm overseas.
correct.
You know?
I'm useless. So that's my one hang up. And I don't know, for people who saw it, let me know if that even crossed your mind. I know you're probably supposed to shut your mind off watching these, but I'm like, there's no way he would have all these things. And like they were super elaborate. But the one thing here is, like we talked about in the first 9 movies, it was kind of a mixed bag. Like there were certain characters that were like, yeah, I hope that guy fucking dies. Like all those like the white supremacists, like, yeah, I hope they
Oh,
die.
yeah.
But like some of the other characters, you're like, I don't know, like I kind of hope they escape this. You didn't want these people to escape at all. But
Yeah, so fuck them if they die, right? It's like I think, yeah, I mean, there's some people like you were kind of pulling for the doctor in Saw 1. Even though he was cheating on his wife, even though he was kind of like
even Adam. Like I wanted Adam to get out of there. Like he's
he's just hired as a photographer. Like he's a private investigator. Like what do I do wrong?
I wanted him. I wanted both those guys out of the basement to survive. Yeah, definitely. And then like even the murder house, the or whatever, like the escape room in 2.
Yeah.
Like really everybody in there except for the one guy that went kind of nuts. You're like, yeah, get out of there.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the guy. Was it Saw 3? The guy he was in he was Robert the Bruce in Braveheart. He was in that movie Equilibrium with Christian Bale.
Yeah, no, yeah.
The guy who just like but he's just going like he's so slow.
Yeah.
Like when you like he was just hobbling along, like trying to save people. And just like
one thing to the next. Oh,
like,
and
get going.
He could have saved the girl that was getting like the ice sprayed.
Frozen. Yeah.
Could have
He
saved
didn't.
her. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't on the hop because every time he stopped at somebody's thing, he basically had to like be like, I don't really want to forgive you. I don't really want to forgive. Fine, I forgive you. And then it was always too late. It was like, just forgive him immediately or don't.
Right.
But anyway, let us know what you guys, if you did see Saw X, Saw 10, let us know what you think, what your score might be. I'm going 3.5 on it. If it comes out on demand, you should still give it a rip. Let me know what you think. Anything else Saw franchise related?
No.
Can we do it? You know, I might do a top 6 horror franchise. That'd be a good tweet. Huh? Look at the people talking.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb. All right, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may choose at this time to defend a goal?
I'm going to receive because I just saw something. So I keep notes. I either keep it in a notebook or I use like Google Keep. And I'm looking at all the notes that I've kept like through the years, like on one, because I was ranking my Saw movies and like I looked at this, right? And the first thing I say, video game minute. This is from December 21st, 2020, right? The very first thing I have. Cyberpunk is facing a class action lawsuit. So people were going to sue CD Projekt Red for making this game, and it was a piece of shit. When it first came out, they rushed it. There was a ton of issues. Like this game was just an absolute dumpster fire. I'm telling you now, it is one of the better games I've played on a next gen console. Now, if you play it now, it's so good, and the Phantom Liberty expansion pack makes it even better.
Okay,
it's so good. So if you have Cyberpunk and you haven't picked it up in a while, get the 2.0 update. By the way, I wouldn't play this on a PlayStation 4. If you don't have a 5 yet,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
gonna give you like that, like you're gonna hear it, like it cranks.
Yeah.
It's the very first game I've seen that it does enough where like I did see some like frame drops.
Yeah.
In one point, just because there was so much going on the screen. But like this game is, dare I say it, Richard, tits. This game's awesome. So please, 3 years after the fact, please check it out.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Good to know. I don't have any picks this week because I was watching Saw all week. I just watched 10 Saw movies in a week.
I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you couldn't have you didn't have to have a pick of the pod. I'm here like scrounging for stuff right now.
Listen, it would just be Saw. I already saw Saw. That's all I got. You don't
Go see Saw
need
10.
to force it. You don't need to force
Watch
it.
Loki this week. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, Loki, Gen V. Those are what I'm on right now. I'm trying to think what else I watched recently. That's kind of it. Oh, did I tell you I watched a while ago? It kept popping up on my like Netflix. I watched Arrival again. Did I talk about that?
See, that's a movie that like people told me that was so sad that I probably shouldn't watch it.
The Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve is
Oh,
the
yeah.
one with Amy Adams and Renner, right?
Hunter. Oh, it's a tremendous movie.
I watched Dune. I watched Dune again.
Oh, dude, I'm pumped for Dune 2.
Dune's awesome.
Dune 2, 2 Dune, 2 Sand. Anyway, Ahsoka next week. I'm excited. So tomorrow night is the finale. Holy smokes. Holy smokes.
I'm so excited.
I'm really excited for that. Oh, you know what we forgot to ask was which Saw moment made us say,
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I love that new sound. Like
I think probably in the first one it was the pig mask when I first saw Billy the Puppet, or when Jigsaw stood up at the end. I remember saying,
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I think it was the sequence of like guy cutting his leg off, to him shooting the other guy, to I'm like blanking on it, but then the other guy beating up Zepp with the toilet tank.
oh
And
yeah,
then-
so Zepp kills Danny Glover, and then Adam kills Zepp with the tank of the toilet, only to have Gordon like slip out of
Shoot him.
there with a dead foot, and then like he gets a
No, doesn't Gordon shoots him first?
Oh yeah,
He
Gordon
gets shot.
shoots him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets shot. They think he's dead. He's climbing out. He starts beating Zepp. And then all of a sudden, fucking Jigsaw stands up. And then I would say,
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh my god.
or when they killed Jigsaw. That was another one where I was like,
I remember.
What the fuck?
Jason in the chat, have I seen Hell House LLC? I don't know what that is. I don't think so. I'll have to give that a go. Oh, also, I tweeted out, Ryan, not to make this go on longer than it already has, but I tweeted out.
that's a 2015 horror movie.
Oh, no, I have not. I've not seen that. I did tweet out a list, Shudder's list of 101 scariest movie moments.
Yeah.
And the list challenge website has the whole thing out. So it's super easy. Just like click on how many you've seen.
Oh,
I've seen 70 of the 101. So I still got like a lot to get after.
so Bogle, check out this story. So
All right,
on October 8th, 2009, a haunted house and attraction opened its doors to the public in upstate New York. The entire crew was found dead except for one. 5 years later, a documentary crew found her and the video footage from inside the house.
What the fuck?
Is this a true story?
I don't think so, but still good. It's probably like a Blair Witch kind of thing.
Oh, so there's this movie called Lake Mungo. I've not seen.
Lake
It
Mungo.
looks fucking crackers.
Oh, you know what I want to watch too? There's a movie on Hulu right now, and you tweeted it out. Guillermo del Toro was like, "No one's coming to save you" or something like that.
I watched that. Oh, I've
Is it
actually,
good?
fuck, dude. I got a few pick of the pods actually. So I just watched this. This to me is worth watching. It's not the greatest movie in the world. It's probably a 3.5 or a 4 out of 6. And I don't know if this is a spoiler because I knew this going in. There's one line of dialogue in the entire
There's no talking in the whole movie.
No.
It's like a silent horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the girl's really good. The girl's in you'd recognize her. She's in a couple things. I don't want to give too much away.
Was it No One Is Coming to Save You?
Yeah, no one is coming to save you. It's on Hulu right now, I believe. There's some good stuff in there. What was the other movie I watched recently? I'm a big movie. I love movies.
I love movie.
I love
moving
watching
pictures.
movies. Oh, I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
So my girls watched it this weekend, and they're like, "You have to, Dad. You have to." They've never recommended a movie to me. They're like, "You have to watch that."
Yeah, let me know what your score would be, because then I'll give it a I'll make a little thing for it, because I'm going 5 out of 6.
They were
Was that-
raving about it, and they're not like big Turtles people. They were raving about it.
I got it 10th on the year. I've seen 45 movies. I got that 10. Oh, you know what also wasn't bad? This is sort of a weird thing. On Netflix, actually, it turns out I have like 8 pick of the pods. On
Yeah.
Netflix, Wes Anderson made a short film. It's 40 minutes long, starring Benedict Flumberjacks. It's called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which is a Roald Dahl short story.
Okay,
It's a 40-minute movie. Just ripped right through it. It was delightful.
all of his stuff is like. Do you watch See Asteroid City? It was pretty good.
No, I have not seen that yet.
It's on one of the streamers.
I think
It's
it's on
good.
the cock.
I think it's on either that or it's on like Prime or something.
Oh, is it?
It's good though. Yeah.
Yeah, so Wonderful World of Henry Sugar, it'll pop up on your Netflix. I was like, it was pretty good. Anyway,
I'll fucking do it, huh?
I'll do it, right.
What the fuck?
All right, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, subscribe at Dork Podcast. Tell a friend, tell a dork. It's Dork Toober. Next week will be Ahsoka, but then the final 3 episodes of the month will all be horror related. So fear not, horror fans, Star Wars fans as well. All right, Rod, you don't give a shit about anything, do you?
What?
He's old dog Bart fuck had a dong a mile long and a dong a mile long. Did he?